So, hello and welcome to today's and this week's Tuesday tip at 2. Real quick, I am excited that I have a client who went under contract after a bit of negotiating. So we pretty much had the deal secure, and then all of a sudden another deal came through, and it was like, what do you mean? We were already supposed to be, having to sign documents and moving forward. Who cares about the other deal? But we were still able to secure the house. My client really wanted the house, really loved the house. So I'm excited. And the other thing I'm excited about is that she initially came to me wanting to rent. And I was able to help her to become pre-approved and a home buyer, right? On her way to being a home buyer. So I'm super excited about that. I love stories like that because, you come in thinking, oh, I'm just going to do X, Y, Z. And, that's why education is so important. That's why I do Tuesday tips at 2, because it puts the information out there and what seems not accessible or not possible. I try to get the information out there to let you guys know that it is possible in the ways that it can be possible. So, like, like the video, comment, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. I had to remind you guys to do that. And yeah, so let's get started. Listen, today I want to talk about, speaking of being under contract, what is under contract? I think I've talked about putting in an offer before. I know I've talked about inspection. I know I've talked about the home buying process a lot, but I wanted to specifically go over this particular piece of paperwork. And again, going with the deal, keeping with the theme is what I'm trying to say, and keeping with the theme of this paperwork series, right? I wanted to talk about the documents. Now, what some of the documents that you submit with your offer, I have discussed, like your buyer's financial information, um, of course, your pre-approval letter. You would need that. You will also need, you know, I know this, but I gotta remember. Seller's property disclosure. I went over that last week in regards to the listing paperwork, onboard and listing paperwork. So with when you're submitting it with the offer and you're the buyer, you have to sign off on your portion, just as the lead based paint property disclosure as well. So these are some of the documents you need. There are a couple other, but I know I went over them before. Okay. So let's get into it. When you're talking about under contract, what contract are we talking about? The contract we're referring to is called a standard agreement of sale for, residential property typically, or for a home or whatever. A short thing, abbreviation is the AOS, or just the agreement of sale. And when both parties, the buyer and seller, sign off on it, it is then called the executed agreement of sale. And then that means we are officially under contract because, of course, both parties, seller and buyer, signed off on the document. So let's get into, what is this document? What is this document? Because this is what's most important. I typically send about 10 things in with an offer. But the agreement of sale is the main thing and very much important thing. Okay. So let's get into what this thing is. I'm just going to do a quick overview of just some of the key components to this. Let me scooch over a bit. The key components to this document a little bit more. There we go. So the standard agreement of sale. What are you? Okay. This is the official contract that puts you in agreement to get to the closing table. All right. It's the official contract. So this is what's needed for when you put in the offer, Okay, when we're drawing up an offer or writing up the offer, this is the document that we are using. Now in PA, this document is 14 pages. And it consists of a lot of real estate and lawyer jargon. And we're going to go over some of just the important parts to remember when you're filling this out. Okay. Now, typically what I do with my clients is I will make like a video email of, the paperwork that they have to sign off on, especially this document, just letting them know, just giving them a quick overview of the key points. All right. And why they're important. Okay. So of course, starting off at the top here, the buyer and seller. Of course, you have the buyer and seller's information that you're going to have up at the top. And when you get this, if we're putting in an offer, a lot of this stuff, well, all of this stuff is going to be auto-populated through, the system that I use of the property's information, of the listing agent's information, my information, as well as the seller's information. You're just signing your portion, right? So we'll have the conversation of, okay, this is the kind of offer that I want to put in. This is the details. I'll, write it up, draw it up, type it in. And then you'll see this document, but of course it'll be filled in, right? So you have the buyer, you have the seller, you have the property, the details for the property. Again, that auto-populates typically. Thank God for the technology. And of course you have the brokerage information, the licensee information. So it would be my brokerage on here and my name and my information. The same for the selling side. So you see for the buyer side up here, and then for the seller side. All right. So all of that stuff will be filled in. Now, I talked about this word before, dual agency, designated agency, that has that here. If that, was applicable for this, then, you will reference that and all that stuff accordingly. Okay. So the main thing for you as a seller or buyer, okay, because both buyer and seller, you have to sign off on this, right? Whether you're receiving this paper to sign off on and agree on, or whether you're the buyer have, your realtor has written it up for you to sign off on, agree on, this information is for both sides. So, of course, you see in the big bold, by this agreement, dated. Now you will put today's date, the day that you're drafting up the agreement. Okay. So in this line item, of course, the purchase price here, purchase price. I'm just tripping all over my words, today. You're going to put the purchase price, and as well as have my screen. So, all right. As well as the purchase price, as well as, right here, you would typically, now, here's an important part. So in this line item, you see here initial deposit. So that is what's called, remember, earnest money deposit. Okay. So on this line item, you are putting down how, the amount of earnest money deposit that you are going to give, put in escrow, have an escrow until the time of settlement. Okay. And again, remember, we talked about this. It's typically 1% to 2% of the sale price. Okay. So if the purchase price is $100,000, right, then you might put down $1,000. You might put down $2,000. Now, we talked about this again. It's a seller's market, so it's very competitive. So you may go up to 3 to 5% down, or even more. Remember, the earnest money deposit is going to be credited towards your closing costs. So it's not just, money that you're throwing away in the wind. So the more you put down, the less you have to bring to the closing table, essentially. Okay. So you can see here that it defaults to 5 days. You'll have 5 days after your offer is accepted. So you are not exchanging any money to put in an offer. You only are exchanging money when your offer has been accepted and you have an executed agreement to sell. Again, executed meaning both parties have signed off on the contract. So when you go down here now, in some cases, you may have another deposit that you want to put down that kind of helps to, especially, I was on this awesome and amazing and just and a bit whack. It was just wacky by way of like it was a lot. So it was pretty much a presentation of offer Zoom call that I was on, and some people were putting, had a first deposit of X amount and a second deposit of another amount. A lot of times that can happen when you're an investor, when you're paying cash, in situations like that, or luxury properties, you might do something like that. So it is a possibility to do. The typical, you could just put down your earnest money deposit and you keep it moving. Okay. A lot of times in this blank line item here, you'll see me put the amount due as far as the sell price less the earnest money deposit. So if, again, $100,000 purchase, you put down $2,000, then I'll put on this line item, the dollar amount at 98,000. Okay. Here, deposits regardless, and pretty much you're moving on to the next line. Okay. So seller's assist, this is an important line item because you may or may not get seller's assist. If you do not get seller's assist, then you do not have to fill it out. Right. But if you are getting seller's assist, whether it's the flat rate or flat dollar amount. So say you're getting, asking for $3,000, $4,000, $10,000 in seller's assist, or you can do 1%, 2%, up to 6%. Okay. This part is important: settlement and possession. So the settlement date is, if you're doing a 30-day settlement, then you'll, say 30 days, you'll put the actual date that will be the 30th day. If it's 45 days, you put that date as well. Okay. The thing about this line item, it says, the settlement date is X, whatever that date is, or before, if buyer and seller agree. Okay, so that's the great thing about this line item because, hey, maybe, you say, I put on here 45 days. We can likely do it in 35 days, but just to, be on the safe side so we don't have to write up a change in terms addendum. Okay, let's go ahead and put it for 45 days. And if we finish before that, then we'll just go ahead to the closing table and we don't have to do extra paperwork because the language is on or before. Okay, on or before. So, oh, no. What are we touching there? No, I pressed something. All right, so we're going to go down. The next important line item. Again, I'm just really trying to give an overview over the important parts. Of course, if you have more questions, you can always contact me and I'll show you how if you're not sure. Written acceptance of this agreement by all parties will be on or before X date. Typically, you want to put there maybe 24 hours. Sometimes the seller's listing agent may request, can you give us 2 days, right? So, you try to oblige for the most part. But here you will put, so if today's date is February 16th and I was writing up this offer today, I will make this date the 17th for you to respond. And it's usually end of business day that you give for people, for the selling side to respond and to accept. Okay. Now, again, if it's something different, then, you can put that there. Another important part, okay, is what is now. This typically will auto populate depending on the property. But the question here is what is included, what is excluded. So a lot of times people will just put their, microwave, refrigerator, blah, blah, blah included. I'm taking the standalone freezer with me, right? So we can put that in the excluded line item right here. So that can be negotiated. Okay. Now you have next mortgage contingency. Now you can waive that It can be waived typically if you're not using a mortgage, right? So if you're paying cash, you of course would check the waive. But if you do have a mortgage, then you definitely want to push elected, right? Because pretty much that's saying, this sale is contingent upon me being able to get a mortgage. Okay. So that's very important. And this just lets you know what are the terms of that mortgage. Okay. How much they're loaning you. What's the minimum term? Is it a 15-year? Is it a 30-year? The type of mortgage, is it FHA? Is it conventional, or something different? What's the loan to value? So pretty much, how much percentage are you putting down? So if you have an FHA, that means that your percentage that you're putting down is 3.5. So really, you're getting a mortgage for less than 3.5%. So the LTV would be 96.5%. I hope that makes sense. If it doesn't, you can contact me. Interest rate, you likely will have a preliminary interest rate, and you would just put that in there. Okay, 2.7, 2.9, whatever that is. And you could put in there, it won't exceed 3% or 3.25%. Okay. Um, Second mortgage, you might put a second mortgage in here, or a lot of times if I have a client who's getting a grant, then I'll put that portion in there on that side. The important line item after this under here, if you see the blank, that the selling side has to receive a mortgage commitment no later than X. Okay, this date. Mortgage commitment meaning that, okay, this person, we're committed to helping this client acquire their mortgage. Like, we're going to see this through to the end, essentially. Okay. And if you see at the bottom, you'll see for each page you have to initial, right? So you buyer side initials, seller side initials. Okay. Now let's get to the other fun part. We're talking about, so this section here is applicable if you have an FHA loan. All right. So you would put that amount here. You would check off this box. All right. Only for FHA. Here's just saying, what kind of, is it public work, water, community, blah, 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 public sewer, you would check the boxes that are applicable. This is the land use restriction, it depends on what kind of sale. If it's just a regular home sale, you don't have to worry about this portion. Again, same for this part. Waiver on contingencies. Yes, let's get into the fun part of inspection. Okay, so this part, I've talked about inspection contingencies before. So this is the portion where if you elected to do, or if you're electing to do the home inspection, then that you're going to have an inspection contingency. So all this jargon here in regards to an inspection contingency would apply in regards to this contract. So whatever inspections you want to have done, you're going to initial on this side. Whatever you do not want done, you're going to initial on the other side as waived. Okay. If you don't want an inspection contingency, the thing that you can do is put waived for that side. So everything on the right hand side, you can say waived. And then at the end, which I can show you, you can put in the blank space, this the sale of this home is not contingent upon an inspection. The buyer will get an inspection for informational purposes only, something like that. Okay. But typically you'll get an inspection. So let's talk about the details as far as the inspection contingency. All right. Now you have 10 days to get the inspection done. Okay. 10 days to get the inspection done. After that 10-day period, you will have 5 days. It says here, make sure my arrow is right. It says here 5 days to respond. Buyers replied to inspection. Okay, 5 days after that 10-day period to get that in. All right. And then you have here, um, to get that in and to negotiate. I'm sorry. To get that buyer's reply to inspection and to negotiate. So the point here is that it is the job of the seller to respond to the buyer's contingency reply to inspection. I'm sorry, not contingency. The buyer's reply to inspection. I can't read, y'all, so forgive me. This writing is small. This here is talking about default, termination, and return of deposits. All right. So if somebody does not do what they're supposed to do, whether it's the buyer side or the selling side. So, number one, if the buyer doesn't do what they're supposed to do and all that other stuff, they can be in jeopardy of losing their earnest money deposit. Okay. If the seller failed to do something on their end, they are entitled to receive their earnest money deposit. And this is what this portion is talking about. And this portion is very important because the default is that the listing brokerage, if they're holding your earnest money deposit in escrow, that they can hold it for up to 180 days. Some realtors will change this portion to make it 30 days. They can only hold, like, once you, the buyer and seller agree and sign off on paperwork to release the earnest money deposit, then they can release it with just at 180 days and it's fine. But your realtor may want to change that and make it 30 days or 60 days, at the most 90 days, but 180 days is a long time. All right, so those are the main points. And then at the very end, this is the additional terms I was referring to. A lot of times in that line item, you can put their property, like the seller or they're leaving the microwave. You might put there, hey, at the seller's expense, they will get a home warranty with this company at the amount of X dollars. You could put that there. You can also see that the check marks for different addendums, which you can check it off and then attach to this offer when you send it in, that particular addendum. At the end, you sign. Okay, you sign off on a consumer notice. We talked about that. Estimated closing costs, that is a part of submitting your offer. The money deposit notice, that is a part of submitting the offer. Lead-based paint, that is a part of submitting the offer. So that will be within all of that. And then the initial sign off on everything. And we get the ball rolling on submitting your offer and it getting accepted. And then we do our happy dance. I need some water. Okay. I need some water. That was a lot. So I hope that helps, guys. That was, like I said, just a small, short overview of the agreement itself. Okay. And if you have any other questions, you can certainly contact me at book.djmrealtyco.com. All right. book.djmrealtyco.com. And you can schedule your free consultation with me. And listen, we can get you on the path to home ownership or get you selling your home, right? And getting some good money to go into your next home. All right. So I hope that helps, guys. Remember, there's no place like home. There's no place like home buying. And please be sure and remember to, again, like, share, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, everything that we do. There we go. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. So talk to you soon. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.